I want to tell you something more about the possibilities for situational crime prevention for money mules, and I'm based on a chapter I've written with Edward Clemens last year, titled Cybercrime, Money Mules, and Situational Crime Prevention. And here we kind of paint a detailed picture of the subculture in which these money mules actually operate. And I think that's very important because it taught me a lot about why these persons actually participate in these criminal acts and how we might be able to stop that. Because what we've done, we've analyzed a couple of hundred of interrogations of these money mules, because lots of them were actually, arrested by the police, because that is what happens when you're a money mule, because you actually have a bank account and the bank will know who you are, so they will knock on your door. So we got a lot of these interrogations. Of course, not all of them were willing to say something, but we got lots of them that actually did, hundreds of them. So that painted a very interesting picture. And what I learned from that, from that analysis, was that most of them are indeed still recruited via social ties. So although there are some schemes in which cyber criminals set up an operation and use vacancy websites to actually, with fake jobs to get money to people and then transfer it to them without their knowledge. So I've seen some examples of that, but usually they were simply recruited on the streets, in sporting clubs, in nightclubs, and using Instagram and other social media outlets. So basically, these social ties, online and offline, but still social ties, so they specifically recruit people in their own social sphere, are still very important. And something that was really interesting is that most of these money mules that were interrogated they thought it was completely normal to get recruited. Sometimes somebody literally said to the police officer, "What are you talking about? Everybody, gets asked on a daily basis." There's one nice example in which a female money mule actually says, "Wait a minute, I just got a new request this morning, so if you want to see it," and then she shows on the mobile phone a message from somebody that she doesn't know, but apparently is in the contact list of somebody that she knows, asking, "Hey, do you want to make quick money? I know a way, just let me know and we can work something out." And she said that she got these kind of messages on a daily basis, and if she didn't get it on her phone, she would get it on Instagram, or she would get just asked while being on the street. So apparently, lots of these money mules live in an area and live in a social sphere where it's completely normal to be recruited for these kind of activities. And mind you, being asked once, you might say no, and twice you might also say no. But if somebody asks you on a daily basis, there will be a point in time where you are going to say yes, because then you do need the money, or there's something else that's important at the moment why you do say yes. So I think it's very important to stress that there are subcultures in which it's completely normal to be asked this on a daily basis. The other thing we noticed in the interrogations is that a lot of these money mules talk about, we kind of knew something was wrong, but all of a sudden, there were people showing up in the clubs or on the street with BMWs and golden teeth in their mouth and lots of chains and lots of money to spend, and they had a great lifestyle. And of course, they knew something was fishy, something was going on. But when they asked me, "Hey, do you want a pair of new shoes? Do you want something to drink?" I said yes, and that's how I kind of got to know them. And then they said, "Well, if you want to work with us, it's very simple." And they explained me how things work. So, first, the lifestyle attracts a number of persons that say, "Hey, this is interesting. Apparently, these guys are making lots of money. So let me enjoy that a bit." If you combine it with the neutralization techniques we noticed during the interrogations, is because a lot of these, no, not a lot of them, because I think most of these money mules actually knew something was wrong. So they knew by the lifestyle of the people that were involved. They knew by being recruited. something was wrong, and they just said yes because they needed the money at the time. But a number of other people state that, well, they asked me to use my debit card in order, as it turns out, for money laundering. I did not know that because this person just said, hey, my uncle, he's going to send me some money. And as you know, my bank account is shut down because of the fraud I committed a couple of years ago. So can he send the money to you, and then we're going to cash it, and you can just keep €100, because I like that, and I really appreciate what you're doing for me. Or they said, well, I got somebody working at the bank, and that person can transfer money to an account, and it's not real money, it's just virtual money, so nobody gets harmed. And we want to use your bank account for that, and it's safe. I know somebody within the bank, and not a real victim. And some of them said yes because of this, because of course, again, they knew something was wrong, but they said, well, I kind of believed it, and no harm being done, so that's why I participated. But that was the minority. Most people actually knew what they were doing. And my last point here, and I think this is also a very interesting one, is self-recruitment. Because I'm talking about recruitment, but apparently a number of money mules actually came to the people that recruited themselves. They also tell about this during their interrogation, saying, okay, I knew what these guys were doing wasn't okay, but they were making so much money, they were spending it, they had a great lifestyle. So I ended up just going there myself and saying, hey, can you help me? I want to participate. You can use my bank account also. So talk about, a very interesting phenomenon of people actually going to the criminals themselves to say, hey, you can actually use my debit card or my bank account to whatever you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, but use it. And of course, here this is important because most of these, if not all of these money mules, actually were arrested by the police. So they are being registered by the police. The bank send them a bill because they basically say, the bank says, well, you transferred €3,000, so you don't know what happened. We don't know either. You're going to pay for it, so they have to pay a fine. And of course, they don't get a lot of money because, if the criminals already paid them something, it was really, really not a lot. It was only some drinks. It was €50 or whatever. So basically, they are being used by the criminals. And they are getting a record by the police, and they need to pay a fine to the banks. So talk about victimization, right? So that's why this is something that triggered me thinking, okay, this is interesting. This is a group that is actually maybe considered being a victim, but they are considered as being an offender. Maybe if we build a good campaign or some other kind of intervention to make sure that they know they're being abused by the criminals and that they know that they have to suffer the consequences, then they won't contribute to the crime script, right? So that's basically what we're doing right now. So based on all of the knowledge that we have about the importance of money mules within the crime scripts and the subculture in which money mules operate, we applied for new funds. We tried to set up to build new relationships with the right stakeholders. And at the moment, we're doing a pilot in a local municipality in the Netherlands, in Haarlem, with two of my colleagues, James Schicks and Leukfeldt, who are junior researchers at the Hague University and NSCR. And we're doing this pilot in Haarlem. To learn more about the local money mule scene there. So what we're going to do is first trying to paint a picture of the money mules within that region. We're going to do that based on the available police data there is. So we're going to look at, okay, who has been convicted or suspected of money muling. But we're also going to do interviews, and not only interviews with police officers, because they will have the same picture as what's already in the systems of the police, right? So we're also going to do interviews with youth workers, people from schools, and people that know a lot more about the subculture in which these criminals actually participate in. So based on all of these interviews and the data that will be available for us, we're going to paint a picture of the local money mule in Haarlem. And based on that, we're going to look at, okay, so are these first offenders? Are they already involved in other types of crime? Are they young? Are they old? Females, males, etc., etc. And we're going to see if there are existing interventions for this type of criminal to actually make them stop participating in the criminal activities. And if there are no such interventions that we can use to test on these money mule group, then we're going to develop a new one. And there are various options to go to. So we haven't decided yet. So if you are aware of any interesting interventions that actually work, let us know. We're thinking about risk communication campaigns or knock and talk kind of interventions. And the good thing is we've got a local municipality that's actually going to work with us. So they're going to carry out whatever we're going to develop, and we're going to evaluate it. So we're going to look at how good or how effective is this intervention we're building. And of course, because it's on a very local scale, that's doable, because we don't have to have a lot of partners, and we've got the right partners. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. So we are currently in the process of, we've done the literature review. We basically drafted the interview protocol for all of these experts, and we're now painting the picture of the money mules. And after the summer, if Corona is a bit more doable, so we actually can go outside again, and we're going to see if we can actually carry out this intervention and evaluate it. And we're not going to stop with that, because this might be part of a larger project we just started in April this year and will last for 2.5 years. It's called the Hague project. It's about local interventions for cybercrime. So especially interventions that municipalities can do. And we're going to develop 4 interventions. This is together with Saxion University of Applied Sciences, by the way, and the Hague University and NSCR. We're going to build 4 interventions on a local level. And I expect one of them to be about money mules, because the other ones will be more about trying to make sure that people are resilient, or organizations are resilient, and stuff like that. So it's more the focus on the end users. But this should also be one about the criminals. And as I stated before in this presentation, money mules make sure that cybercriminal networks are local embedded. So it's very important from a local perspective to frustrate that process. So in that project, more than 100 municipalities in the Netherlands are taking part. So that's a lot for a small country. So we hope that what we learn in the pilot in Haarlem, we will actually be able to do that on a larger scale in the Netherlands. So this will take place in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I hope to give some more details about it during the next SecRef. But again, if you have any knowledge about ongoing evaluations about these kind of interventions, let me know. At the moment, we're evaluating the Hague program ourselves in the Netherlands, which is a program aimed at juvenile cyber criminals that actually have some technical knowledge, so not money mules at all. But it's a good example of a study or an intervention that tries to actually stop young hackers from becoming, black hat hackers, and making sure that even though they made the first mistake, they move to the more ethical field. And we're trying to develop the same kind of interventions for money mules, so making sure that they don't end up helping the cybercriminal networks, but that they stop and actually are aware of what they're doing is illegal and only is going to bring them into more problems. All right, folks, this is it for me. I hope you enjoy this presentation. I haven't used PowerPoint. This is the first time for me of not doing that. So I hope the story kind of makes sense. If not, feel free to contact me at Leukfeldt@nscr.nl. Just Google me, you can find me. And I wish you the best of luck. And I hope we get to see a lot of other interesting SecRef 2020 presentations. All right, bye bye.